This lesson is just a brief overview of how you can put walls in. There are three ways you can put walls in. You can do a freehand method, a baseline method, or you can trace over an image. In brief, if I want to go and do a freehand wall, let's go and select, say, the 220 brick veneer wall. I can then just come onto the screen. Notice down the very bottom left hand corner there's a help string. At the moment it's saying pick first insertion point. It's telling you what to do. So if I pick a point, you'll also notice that the commander has engaged, so now I can actually type a distance and an angle if I wish. But also the help string down the very bottom now is saying pick next insertion point. So if I just roll in, I can then say, okay, this is going to be a freehand method. So I just want a 6x6 garage to start off with, just so something simple. So notice I can just drag my mouse until I've got approximately the 6 meters. Then once I do it, I just drag down, and I drag down approximately 6 meters. It doesn't have to be exact. You can drag anywhere you like as long as it's around about the distance you're looking at on that dynamic dimension. Come over here. Now I'm going to sort of pick a little bit off the beginning of the top of it up here, because if I pick here and then when I try and finish, I've got to actually close it, which means I've got to join up to the first point. But what you'll notice is as you drag up and move over towards the point, see how it's shot back, and it will then close the wall. You hit your right mouse button and then go finish. So if I come in on that, I've now got the box which is made up of a 220 brick veneer wall. If I touch one of the walls, you'll notice that the dynamic dimensions appear. Notice it dragged in at about just over 6 meters, but now that is saying 6385. What happens with a wall? What happens with a member, which is, you know, a piece of timber or a U-beam or something like that? Even excuse me, even the handrails or anything else, they all go in on the center point. So see how it's got a green dot there? That's the center point of the wall. And you're going to say, well, it's a 220 wall. It is actually a 70mm wall with a 40mm cavity and a 110 skin on the outside. So the core of the wall is 70, and that's what Envisioneer works on. So a wall always goes in at the center point of the core of the wall. So to get this 6 meters by 6 meters, what I need to do is touch the wall and then move my arrow over one of the dynamic dimensions I want to change. So when I move it over it, see the arrow change to a hand. If I touch that, I then am able to edit the dimension. So you can see that the dimension 6385 is highlighted blue. There's no need for you to click into there and backspace. If I touch it, as soon as it's highlighted, I can just continue to type. So all I'm doing is I'm going to type 6000. So I don't have to backspace or click into it. If it's highlighted blue, just start typing, because it will then erase what it's highlighted. Then with my mouse, just hit OK. So you can see now the overall width of the building is 6 meters. Now if I move down and touch the bottom wall or the top wall, whichever way I want to work, I tend to work clockwise or anti-clockwise, the opposing dynamic dimensions appear. So again, I want to touch the outside of the building, touch the dynamic dimension I want, start typing 6 meters and hit the enter on your keyboard, or with your mouse hit the OK button. So now I've got a garage there, let's say, of 6 meters by 6 meters. It may not look that, it's just the way that I've had to do the resolution of the screen. It looks a bit rectangular rather than square, but if I touch it, it's 6 meters that way, and if I touch this, it's 6 meters that way. That's freehand. Now, the second method is called a baseline. If you go up to your walls, you can notice the little black arrow beside it. If I drop that down, you can put a wall in, or you can put a wall in by baseline. So it does exactly the same thing as what I'm going to do, because I don't use this option from that button up there. I just leave that set to walls. If I select the same wall, the 220 brick veneer wall, before I pick the first point, I right click. That's where I pick it from. Insert by baseline. Now if I select that option by picking it with my mouse, now pick a point to start, you'll notice for starters when I drag See how it's just a green line? There's no dynamic dimensions appearing as you're pulling to the right or to the left, like it was when I did it freehand. So now if I'm dragging it to the left, I'm going to start typing, and watch the commander down the very bottom where it says distance. If I start typing, see how it automatically starts going into there. So I'm going 6 meters, and then I hit enter. Now all I have to do is drag my mouse in the direction I want it to go and type another dimension, 6 meters. Drag it to the left, type 6 meters. Now the end one, you don't have to worry, you can just sort of float around there, but basically it has created that closed form that we need. So rather than doing any more, all you have to do is right click your mouse, select finish. Now with the walls by baseline, you then get to choose what is the line that you've just drawn. And I'm going to select this one, the outer face of the veneer. I can select the outer face of wall, core or stud, or I can select the inner face of wall. So in this case, it is ticked correctly. All I have to do is hit OK. It looks identical to its twin next door, but if I touch it, it's 6 meters that way, and if I touch this, it's 6 meters that way. That's the second way of doing it. Okay, so I'm just going to erase those because the next one, the trace one, is a little bit different. So the next one is basically using the trace option under File. So I've got File, Import, Project Trace Image. We'll talk about this in more depth later. But for now, if I select that, I can then select a JPEG, a bitmap or a TGA. So if I just sort of scroll down and find my training documents, just give me a bit here. I want to find my computer, E drive, training docs. Where is it? Okay, so I've got my trace image folder. Notice there's nothing in there because it's set to JPEG. I've got them scanned in as bitmap. So if I click that, there it is there. If I come up here to my views and go extra large icons, I can then see. Now what you might end up with is you might end up with something like this that could be, you know, a brochure someone's brought in. It could be something like this, which is like a hand-drawn sketch that a client has brought in. So if I open that one, this here, the image details, there's nothing you need to do there. You just hit OK and you go and drop the image on the screen. Now if I roll in on that, you'll notice it just looks like a hand-drawn sketch. Now what you need to do is you need to know some dimension on it, because this is a, you know, it's not a precise, accurate way of putting something in, but it's a very quick way of you getting something in and tracing over it to get quantities and to actually get the shape of your building to start designing with. So let's go into the study. You can see that they've wanted that 3.3. Let's assume that that's 3.3 between that wall and that wall. If you touch the trace image and then right click, you've got the option to resize. So if I go resize, I can go between that point and that point. It isn't 1348, it is 3300. Hit enter, and actually you've seen that sort of made it bigger. Now that's somewhat to scale. So now I can just happily pick the wall and start picking freehand and working my way around the building. Just give me a minute. Just want to go around the outside, and our last point should be over here. There it is. So now I can actually turn that off, or I can delete the image. To turn it off, you go to your view filter, under notation, project trace image, close the eye, and there are my walls being traced. Now to actually work your way around there, you need to touch the wall, touch the dimension, and resize it and work around the whole project until you've got it how you want it. Alright, that'll do us for this, and we'll go on to the next lesson shortly. Thank you.